Something that I haven't mentioned. Every morning and every evening is what they call the common prayer. And after you've had your chai in the morning, everybody has to stand outside in rows. And bearing in mind, while I was in the barracks, there was 600 of us stood out on the courtyard, and over the tannoy they would play this common prayer. It was a lady singing a song from a Hindi movie. And this one morning, we were stood out there, and as she started to sing this song, the heavens opened up. And I mean, they opened up. Everybody was soaked to the skin. Nobody could move. You wasn't allowed to move. You had to just stand still, don't speak, and wait for the prayer to finish. Afterwards, of course, we all disappeared back inside to change our clothes. I was fortunate. Somebody had given me a pair of trousers, blue trousers, an Indian guy. So I had these, and at that time I had one pair of boxer shorts and a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. That was it. I wrung my t-shirt out and put it back on. You know, when I think of these stories now, I mean, I'm going back many, many years. It makes me laugh. Being in Tihar, it was all surreal. You never knew what was going to happen from one day to the next. For example, we were on the courtyard this day, Danny and I. We could hear a commotion, looked over, and there's a big guy. He was pushed up against a tree that was in the courtyard, and two guys, one held his one arm, the other held his other arm, and they pinned him to a tree. And then this guard come over with a lathi stick and just started beating him on his back and on his buttocks. And usually they start screaming. This guy never made a sound, never moved, never batted an eyelid. So after a few minutes of this, they just let him go. And he just walked off. Steve and I looked at each other. What was it all about? And apparently he was trying to get some tobacco. That's all it was. Just some tobacco. Anyway, the next day, I was back in court. Usual thing, you know, it's a full day's jobby, sitting in a lockup, blah, 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 blah. Goes to the courthouse, and I said to the judge, will I get charged? Because I was told then that after 3 months they would charge me. And it was a woman judge, and she looked at me, she said, you were under NDPS, which is the Narcotic Drug and Substances Act, something like that. And she said, you won't be charged for a further 3 months. I thought, God, this last couple of 3 months has been like years, and I've got to do it all again before I get charged. And that was that. Back to the lockup, eventually back into Tihar. And I met Danny and I told him about it. And he wasn't bothered. From the day this lad came into jail, he said to me one day, he said, you know, Steve, I knew I was going to get caught at some point. And he said, I was prepared for it. And I thought, what a difference in characters. You know, I get caught and I'm there for weeks. Every day I'm sobbing at some point. This lad, he just took it on the chin like. And we were complete opposites, and that's what the attraction was, you know. We had a really, really good relationship. Anyway, at this time, which was back end of June, I made an application to be transferred to Central Jail Number 3. Because I liked Central Jail Number 3, like I said previous, I liked the ambience of the place. The hospital, no, but I liked the ambience of the whole jail. So I made an application, I didn't hear anything. And then this night, I'm called back to the Dodie. And there's what was he? I think he was a Dutch guy. Can't remember his name. Nice guy. He said, "Hi Steve, what are you doing here?" I said, "I don't know. I've just been called in." And then somebody came up to me with this sheet of paper and said, "You have to sign this paper." So I spoke to this Dutch guy and I said, "What's this all about?" And he could read Hindi, and he had a look at it. He said, "Oh," he said, "it's nothing." He said, "Don't worry about it." He said, "Just sign it and forget it." So I did. Little did I realise I was signing something called PIT, which was the Prevention of Illicit Trafficking Act, which meant that I couldn't apply for bail for a year. Not that they would have given me bail anyway. But anyway, the next day, I was transferred out of this ward that I was in with Danny to the next ward, where it was very small, maybe a dozen or more cells, and that was it. Quite a small place. I wasn't allowed to take anything with me. I had to just leave everything I had that night and then go back the next day to pick my stuff up. So that night they put me into this cell. There was 3 Nigerian lads in there. They were sleeping in the inside, and I slept on the outside on the floor. Nothing, no blanket, no nothing. I just laid on the floor. Woke up the next morning and I had a urine infection. And oh God, it was like trying to get razor blades through my dick, Yeah. I thought, is this never going to end? Do you know what I mean? It seems to be one thing after another all the time, I was there maybe a week, still had this urine infection. And then this guy come. I can't remember his name. He was an Australian. He was like a priest, a theologist, very well spoken, really nice guy. And I spoke to him. And I said, "Look, I'm trying to get into CJ3. Can you help me?" He said, "I'll see what I can do." Anyway, this urine infection it went on for 3 weeks. During that time, I get a call, "You're being transferred." I thought, wow. And I got transferred to Central Jail Number 3. Now, I should have gone into a ward that had the under trials, people on remand. There was one convict ward in each jail, apart from Jail 2, which was a full convict ward. And I was put into the convict ward, and I thought, why am I in here? And it was to do with this pit. And I had to stay in this convict ward for 12 months. And believe you me, it's not what I wanted. Next time.